Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. Today is Tuesday, December 1st. It's the first of the last month of 2020. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com, and I'm here with our co-host, Carol Ray, founder of Notary 2 Pro. How are you, Carol?
I am doing terrifically. Thank you so much.
You look great. You look really comfortable, too. I love the...
I'm in my recliner.
Carol, are you excited about anything this week?
Well, I'm excited about something that already happened. And that was my son and his beautiful wife, Irma, flew out here and they spent Thanksgiving with us in a few days. And for the first time in a long time, I had all three of my grown-up big children with us for a very quiet and very peaceful and wonderful Thanksgiving.
That's definitely
That was very exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations on that. In the new house too, right?
No.
Oh.
We're in the new house, but it's not the house we thought we were going to get. We got another one coming.
Oh. Wow.
I don't want to bore anybody, but no.
I bet that's not a boring story at all. I'll have to follow up with
Oh, I'm going to write about it.
I'm sure. I'm sure. All right. Well, good. Well, welcome. And Laura Biewer. Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're here, Laura. Laura, how's it going?
Going okay. Suffering from the same things that all signing agents suffer from: printer malfunction. So I was struggling with trying to get my machine out of a deep sleep so it would print loan documents for me. I did not have success yet. Yeah. So after this call, I will have to go back to it. But I do have something that I keep meaning to announce and I keep forgetting to announce. And that is that those of you who participate in booking a quick call with me, thank you very much. I love getting those calls. The one thing that's being said to me over and over again is, I was sitting here waiting for your call and then you didn't call. And when you get the confirmation, it shows my phone number as the meeting location, meaning you need to call that number. So you're calling my cell phone at the designated time for me to respond to you.
Hey, what is happening here?
Just want to make sure everyone's aware. Thank you for reaching out to me, and I want to take care of you. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Please call me when you set that appointment at the phone number that's provided on that confirmation, and you'll get to hear my voice. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Great PSA. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
That's huge. Okay. And I'm hearing some background noise. Oh, there she is. I'm going to mute you out there. Okay. And then, guys, before we jump in and start asking questions, I just want to also share something I'm excited about. Anybody who's read kind of my story, you know that Thanksgiving is a really sacred weekend for reasons other than the obvious. But for me personally, that was the weekend where I had really hit rock bottom in my life, and my businesses were failing, relationships were failing, and I took that 4-day weekend alone and really dug deep and figured out the common denominator in all my business failures was me and what was missing in my life. And that was a weekend that allowed the introspection necessary to figure out that I was missing consistent action, habits and routine in my life. And since that weekend, so many years ago, I've enjoyed tremendous success in this business that we're all in right now. It has changed my life, and it has the potential to change yours as well. Many of you, it's already changing your life. And it impacts not just us and our families and our collaborators, but also our signers. There's amazing stories of connection that come out of this business. And part of the way I wanted to say thank you and show gratitude to all of you and everyone who's been part of this journey with me is to offer the Morning Mastery class completely free. It goes into detail on what my daily dues were, all the steps I took to finally pull myself out of a huge hole and build the relationships that have allowed insane amount of income in this business, but also deepened relationships. So if you haven't got that email, if you haven't taken advantage of that yet, please do. It's completely free. All you have to do is register, and I'm going to post the link in the chat window. And of course, I'll send out other emails on that too. So if you're looking to go escrow direct, if you really want this business to grow and be everything that you wanted it to be, I share my exact steps in that morning mastery program. So thank you for being here with me and with us on TNT. So let's jump in and continue with TNT. This is a forum that is really just for you to ask questions of Carol Ray, of Laura Biewer, and of myself. I see we already got some hands up in the air, but the way it works, raise your hand using the Zoom technology. That's the only way we're going to be able to get to you. And when we call on you, please unmute yourself, tell us what state you're in, and then ask your most direct question. If we need additional information or some backup info, we will ask for it, okay? Let's jump in. Karen, you have been so patient. I saw your hand up right away. So how can we help today?
Hi, everyone. Again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you, Bill, for sharing your story about your journey back to where you are today. I have two questions. They're really, really quick. My first question is, in January, the end of January, I'll be moving from Florida. I'm in Florida, everyone, South Florida. In the end of January, I'll be moving to to Georgia. And I wanted to know, what do I need to do today so that my business can flow over into Florida? I won't have a break. Or is that possible for me not to have a break? That's one question.
Okay, great. So I just want to make sure I understand that. So you are moving from Florida to Georgia, and you're wondering how you can transition without any type of lag. Is that
correct? Yes.
Okay, great. I think that's a great question. And I think Carol, you went through this a little bit too when you moved from Arizona to California, right? Do you want to offer some perspective?
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, it was really scary because I had just gotten my business going really good in California. Been there for several years and had a lot of clients that depended on me, and I was making pretty good money. We moved into Arizona, and I was afraid that was over. My business was going to be gone. So what I did actually is, that was when First American Title Company was first starting their signing service, and I heard about it. It was called First American Signing Service, which is now known as FAST. And I went to them, and I went through the routine of getting certified. I was one of the first signers there, and absolutely hated it. They hardly paid me anything. They double booked us. It was just terrible. But right at about 3 or 4 weeks into it, my customers found me. I started registering with everybody all over again, going in and updating my address. And lo and behold, my business was up and going. Within about 3 months, I was back to the old routine and the same income. So I would say for you, let them know in advance. As soon as you know you're moving and you have an address, let them know, and let them know that you'll know exactly when you're going to be available. And I'll bet you anything, they're just going to pick up and start using you all over again.
Okay, so that I can get my Georgia's notary license now? Like, I can't have...
No, you have to be a resident. You have to be a resident. But as soon as once you move, you're going to have that little lapse of time before you get the commission, because you have to prove residency in most every state. You can check with them and see. But once you do that and you get that ball rolling and you let everybody know your new address, and when you're ready, you call them and say, I've got my commission, I'm ready to go. Then you'll be good. Okay. You're going to have a little bit of a lapse in there while you're waiting for your commission, though.
Yeah, I think there's probably no way to avoid the lapse altogether, but you can certainly do some things that would diminish the lag time there. The other thing that you really want to consider too is you're moving from a non-attorney state into what's considered an attorney state. So there's going to be some rule changes and things like that. So you can start studying up on the Georgia law now. And I would highly recommend that you get dialed into the notary community in Georgia. And Samantha N. Smith is a really great resource there. She's got the Georgia Notary Network going on there. So I would get dialed in, and so you can step right into it and know exactly what to expect and what you need to do.
Okay.
And
So
Karen,
Florida
there's
is an
Notary to
attorney
Pro
state.
graduates there. Karen, there's Notary to Pro graduates there too. So you're a
Okay.
graduate of ours, right?
I'm sorry?
You're one of our graduates.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were Singleton. We have somebody Singleton.
Yeah.
But there's graduates there of ours that I'm sure would welcome you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look that up. And Florida is an attorney state, so it'll be one attorney state to another, I guess. My second question, real quick, how do I get I had an assignment through a signing service in October 7th. I still have not gotten paid from them. I contacted them via email on the 13th. They contacted me back on the 19th and said that they put the check in the mail that day. I didn't receive the check, so I emailed them last week. They said that I had to give it time for it to get to me. The signing service is Express Notary out of California, and I don't know if what could be my course of action. What can I do if they don't pay, if they keep giving me the runaround? Because it's October 7th, and now we're going on 2 months. And instead of, and they're telling me the check's in the mail, basically.
Yeah.
What I want to do, and tell me if I'm wrong, because is to Yelp them. Is that like me putting a gun to my head?
Well, not that extreme for sure, Karen, but I think that might be jumping the gun a little bit. But I think, Laura, do you want to offer some perspective on solutions for notaries to take, or action that they can take to help collect on slow paying customers?
Well, I think the first part is to just know what I might consider slow may be their normal turnaround time. So do you know what Notaries Express commitment is? Some of them are 30 days, some of them are 45 days net. That doesn't mean you're going to get it in 45 days. So that's the first thing is do you know that? The second thing is then does that make that payment late or not? And then if it is late, of course, documentation is the most important thing, which is you reach out to them. It looks like I haven't been able to close this order on my end. I don't see payment. Perhaps this is an oversight. Could you please let me know what your records show? So you're reaching out to them with a positive attitude, and one that says, look, I'm not saying you're not trying to pay me. I'm just saying is that you're past the window that we've agreed upon, and I don't have it yet. Can you see if it's been actually issued on your side? And if it has, share with me, the number, the amount, the date, all of that information. On the other hand, if you find that you haven't issued it, when can I expect payment? All right, so that might be the first one. And then from that date, when they say, okay, we're cutting the check, it's going in the mail. I'm going to tell you, I've gotten checks from title that normally take 10 days, 2 weeks, have been 30 days, and it's the postmark. The mail is taking forever, especially when they are from a different state than I'm in. I'm in California, and some of these are back east. So I'm noticing there's mail time that used to be, 3 or 4 days. And now when I look at when the check is cut and the postmark, it's taking a lot more time, and that's due to, COVID and not having the proper staffing, and the mail isn't going through. So you might, if they've said they've sent it, you might want to make sure you give them a little more time. If that isn't the case, and now you've given them more time, my next step is to communicate, look, we've had a conversation. You said you owed me money. You said you've cut the check. I haven't gotten it. Usually when they've cut a check, they like to wait 21 days to make sure that the check really is lost somewhere along the way. And if it's past that, for them to cancel or stop payment on that. And I'll say, can you pay me with a credit card on the phone? If I can't get that method going, of course, my last thing I would do if I just feel like they're not forthcoming is I use my Legal Shield plan. First thing I go to, and I ask for a demand letter to send them the demand letter. And when they see that with like 20 plus attorneys sitting on the top of the letterhead, I've done it 3 or 4 times, and I tell you what, I get paid immediately. So those are my steps along the way.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, their payment is 30 days after assignment. I did the assignment October 7th. I sent out a letter to follow up on November 13th. They responded back to me on November 19th, told me that they put the check in the mail that day.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to them again last week, the day right before Thanksgiving, and they told me I needed to give it more time. So
well, yeah, it is holiday timing.
Yeah.
So there's probably more mail time involved. And I would, before I move to the next step, which is, look, you said you cut it. You said you put in the mail. I've given 21 days. I still don't have that check. Can we find another way to close out this order?
And then Karen.
But I would make sure I had enough time that I accommodated that there was holiday time happening in the mail.
Okay.
And Karen,
so if I don't receive anything in the month of December, come January, do the Legal Shield, or come January, reach out to them again?
I wouldn't wait till January to reach out.
Yeah.
You would not wait till January?
No, you said it went on the 19th. What's 21 days from the 19th of November? That's before that. That's around the 10th or so of December. That's when I'd reach out. And if they can't get resolvement there, then I would go to my Legal Shield.
Okay. Thank you.
Bill, you wanted to add something?
I'm just letting you know, Karen, that in the chat window, there's several notaries that said they can take up to 60 days to pay. And what you want to remember all the way around, guys, is that there's a relationship at stake. Oh my God. Sorry, Laura, I muted you and on accident. I'm trying to mute the other person that has unmuted. Guys, please leave yourself on mute until you're called upon. Thank you. Okay, so there's a relationship at stake. So before we go public and make a Yelp review, we want to remember that once you go public like that, there's no taking it back. It can harm the other company. It can also harm you too if another signing company or an escrow officer were to see it, and it depends on how you word it. There's also the notaryreviews.org community that is designed for that very thing, for the information of notaries only, to go in and rate and review companies that might be a little slow to pay or out of integrity, or maybe they don't pay at all. So get dialed into that community as well. That would be a safe place to offer an honest opinion of that. But also, because of the situation that we're in, holidays, we got COVID, we got all this stuff going on, people need a little bit of compassion and time right now. Sure, there's going to be companies and people that take advantage of that. But for the most part, I would highly encourage everyone to give people the benefit of the doubt. Assume that they are going to pay you. Maybe they're a little behind. Maybe their clients are behind on paying them, whatever it might be. But it's not worth throwing a relationship out the window for 80 bucks, 100 bucks, 150 bucks in most cases.
Yeah, because I'm in a group in one of the Florida groups, and somebody asked, how come we don't, when there are signing companies that don't live up to what they're
I submitted
their part, then how come we don't say anything? Why we just keep it quiet? So that's why I was asking the question, because now I was in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and there's a community and an environment for that, and that's the Notary Reviews community. But I would say it's not going to be on Yelp. It's not going to be on Google, except in extreme situations.
Okay.
All right, great topic. Apollonia Barksdale.
We are not.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to, please keep yourself on mute at all possible. Not Laura, not necessarily you, obviously, and Carol. All right, thank you, guys. Okay, Apollonia, thanks for being here. What state are you in, and how can we help?
Hi, Bill. Hi, Laura. Hi, Carol. My name is Apollonia Barksdale. I am from Illinois. Bill, congratulations on your, I thank you for sharing your story, and I'm excited to have access to your offering. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for sharing that. My question is for Laura. I have a closing coming up that is a trustee verbiage. And I more so am questioning the notarial piece. So in the certificate, for example, the name affidavit. Typically in the name affidavit, I'm notarizing the signature on that document. But on this particular document, there is settler verbiage at the signature line. In the notarial certificate, there is also settler verbiage. My question to you is, what am I notarizing? And in the particulars, it also indicates that the person presented, the settler verbiage presented a driver's license as identification. And so I'm very literal. And so my thought process is that, well, your driver's license is not going to say Jane Doe and John Doe, trustees of the Doe Family Living Trust. It's going to say Jane Doe or John Doe. And so I guess I'm seeking clarification or guidance on how do I execute this notarial act in this instance.
Okay, so you're in a state where it is okay for you to allow the authority or capacity, represented capacity, to be included on your certificate, just as it is at the signature line. Okay. And you do not have to have proof that that exists. Although prudent notary would ask, do you have this authority? Are you the settler or are you the trustee? And then I'd make a note of it in my journal. But most of the states allow for that. I happen to be in one that doesn't. And so in California, I can't do that. But in your state, you can.
Okay, so when it says who presented a driver's license as identification, is that a true statement?
Well, yes, it is, because you identified the person.
Oh,
the driver's license, they're not saying identification isn't the representative capacity.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Great question. Very detailed.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, Apollonia.
Good to see you.
You too.
Marcela Mendez, always a pleasure to see you. Tell everyone what state you're in and how can we help?
Hello, everyone. I am in California. And my question is for Laura. Laura, if you could help me, I've been having nightmares about my journal. I finally understood, because I used the modern journal. I thought it was awesome for loan signings, but I was confused as to how to use it properly for a state. I finally realized that even though we have that, we could, as my understanding, we could check off the document if it's on there, but still each one needs its own line, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right.
Now
we can use it and take advantage of what we can, but we cannot have multiple documents in the same line entry. So you'll have to have a separate entry for every document, for every notarization, for every signer.
Okay. Now, how would you handle a signing that has 4 signers? Can you do anything ahead of time, or you just, because what I do is I get there and then I do the oath first. That's the first signature. And that way we can review signatures if, per documents or whatever. But what is the correct process with several signers?
Well, so I'm not quite sure if I'm hearing your question correctly, but what I think you're asking me is, first of all, just to repeat, whether you have 1 signer or 15 signers, the process is the same in terms of separate line entries for every single one. Nothing changes. There's no grouping them. There's no way to take a shortcut around that. So that's the first part of my answer. The second part is, it depends on what kind of assignment I'm handling. If I am handling one document with 4 signers, I'm just going to be writing each one of those signers down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm typically doing that and checking out their ID while they're signing their document, whatever it is they need to do with their document. If I'm handling a loan assignment where I'm going to have many documents, I just take it document at a time. and I integrate my journaling as I go, and it's called simultaneous work. So while, you know, they've got the pile of documents, I've got a pile of documents, they're navigating the document to see where they have to sign and initial and or whatever they have to do. And I'm recording in my journal just the pieces I need as a placeholder for that line entry. And then I stop and I continue with them. And then I backfill those however much I can in between documents. The more experience you have, the more advanced you are, the easier it is to work simultaneous that way. If that's difficult because you're not as experienced, then other notaries wait till the end to do it. The reason I don't like doing it at the front or the back is that you've got a lot of downtime for your signer sitting there. That just adds to your whole length of time being at that appointment.
Right. And that's what I do. I'm a good multitasker.
Okay.
So that's what I do. But I guess since I was used to just putting it on, checking off on the same block for all the docs. And the other day I had a signing with 4 signers, and I was like, how in the world am I going to do this? Since the process I do is I enter their ID information first. And then from then on, I start marking or writing off the documents that I'm notarizing.
Okay, well, first of all, the law isn't specific enough to say what you should write first. You need to decide for yourself what is comfortable for you that allows you to capture all the information and not leave any out. So whatever is the pattern that works for you, as long as you get it all done, that's all that matters.
Okay.
So don't worry about how other people do it. Look to see what works well for you.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Kristen, thanks for being here. Would you like to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hey guys, I'm San Diego, California. And I just got finished. I've been scouring your website, watching everything, and I watched the video with, but I don't remember her name, the blonde lady, very passionate about Google My Business.
Oh yeah, April.
Shiny object.
April, yeah.
April, that's it. Great video. My question is around that NAP, and I'm not commissioned yet. I'm still kind of reading everything and trying to learn as much as I can before I get commissioned. But the address, when I do the Google My Business, I know I can hide my personal address. But when it comes to cascading that throughout the rest of wherever you put your home address, and you're only seeing, you know, my town is Escondido, California, right? So it's only going to show Escondido, but let's say I have to put my home address on whatever, Notary Rotary. It's not going to match now, because that's going to show my home address, but Google My Business is going to show. That's a problem, isn't it? I mean, it has to all align. That's the message I got.
Yeah, well, so it's varying degrees. If you wanted to do things perfectly, if you wanted it to be totally optimized for search engine optimization, which is what we're talking about here, guys, then everything should match. We know that that's not going to work for everybody because of this reason. Maybe it's your home address. So the decision has to be made. Do you want to use your home address or not? For many of us, we don't, but for many, they do. So do you choose a different address? Do you get a PO box? Do you get one of those suite numbers from a co-working site or from a PO box? There's downsides to those too, though, because if another notary or a similar type business is using one of those boxes, it can jam everything up too. So in our realm of business, being mobile, and not having addresses where we want people to just show up and knock on our door, this is a little bit of our challenge. So there might be some inconsistency. It might impact your search engine optimization. It also might not. There is plenty of cases that we found where people don't follow the rules. They don't even know what NAP means, which is okay if you don't. It's name, address, phone number. That's what NAP means. And they still find a way to make search engine optimization work. So just the best advice is just to do what's best for you. Do the best with what you've got at the time.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Josh Sandersign. That's a great name. Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi guys. My last name is Sanders' son, so
Okay.
I thought Sanders sign might be a good way to for a good business name.
I love it.
Hey guys, Bill, Laura, thank you so much for all your experience. I'm very new to this. I have not yet to do my first notary deal, but I'm now certified, background checked, et cetera, and just waiting for my new laptop to show up so I can actually print.
Okay.
My question for you is what I think is probably going to be a simple one for you. It's been recommended to me that I just try to knock out as many signings as I can early on to get my feet wet to, you know, build up a repertoire and have some of the larger agencies take notice of me and be able to step into bigger deals. The question I have is how to approach that without feeding into kind of the low baller type deal. You know, I don't want to be a part of an industry that wants to devalue what we do. And I'm curious as a new person, how you recommend I approach that when I do get like $80 offers for giant packages, like in the way of negotiation and that type of thing.
Yeah, great question. Carol, we haven't heard from you in a little while. Would you like to kind of talk about this for Josh?
Sure. Yeah, it's tough getting started, although you have an advantage now because there is a smaller percentage of notaries that are working right now due to the COVID situation. I suggest to my graduates that because I hear it all the time, I want to go direct. That's got to be on the back burner. You need to have some experience, some clout behind you before you do that. I say take whatever you can get to start with. I know you don't want to take those $85 jobs, but it gives you the great, at least take 10 low signing jobs just to get you started, just to get you used to, you know, doing the printing, timing, making the appointments, walking up to the door, sitting at the table, all of that experience will really set you up for bigger and better things. You slowly can move up the ladder. And once you get that, you know, even 25 or 30 under your belt, I have students now that have done 15, 20 signings, and now they are working with title companies and escrow companies. And of course, Bill can definitely help you in that area. But you've got to pay your dues at the beginning, get that experience. And if you're going to make mistakes, be honest. I had a gal yesterday that told me that she got a signing from a title company, the very first signing that she had. She was a brand new graduate. I've always told my students, be honest. Tell them, I have not done any signings. I'm trained by Notary to Pro. I'm going to do the best I can do. And she told that title officer that it's exactly that. And she was told afterwards, after she did the signing, and she had no questions. She did a great job. And they said they were going to use her now. Now she's immediately without any experience. And you know what they told her? They said because she was honest about it. So they knew what to expect. Just work your way up, but pay your dues at the beginning. Don't think you can just go straight into something that's over your head.
And
I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
And I'll piggyback on that too, Josh. So I encourage everyone to always look at the bigger picture. There's a lot more to a transaction than what you're being paid. There's two other points on this is that some of these signing companies, some of the larger signing companies that you want to be working with, they might have 50 signing requirements. So whatever it takes to get you 50 signing requirements so you can kick down that door is going to be okay. There are some people who have taken signings for way less because they had a grander vision for where they were going. So they, like Carol said, they paid their dues. They took the 40, 50, 60, $70 signings to get to 50 so they could get their foot in the door, get all that experience too, and then go straight into it. The other huge thing here, and I always tell people that I tell this story, is that you never know who you are going to be sitting across the table from. every signing is an opportunity at a bigger relationship. And I have met multiple customers. They were just, I'm signing their refinance. I'm doing my thing. I show up 100% authentically to who I am. I have my system down. It goes really efficient. And we usually have a really good time at this. And then I find out that there are a branch manager at a title company and that they love the way I do things. And they hire me. And the next week I have another $100,000 a year client. So there's way more to this than just the check you get for doing the work. So stay open to the greater possibilities there. When you, this favors momentum. When you're rolling, when you're in the arena and you're doing stuff, opportunities are going to collide with you. Opportunities are going to collide. And that's how you really grow in this business.
There is one more thing that I'd like to say to everybody out there that I tell my students. It's so important, and it helps them relax. Be yourself. When you're preparing yourself for the signing, of course you want to be professional, but the moment that you walk into a person's door in their home or their office, be your authentic self. I mean, if you're like, I'm kind of a klutzy person. I've left a shoe behind. I fell into a front door one day.
What?
And I just laugh about it. It's just me. It's just who I am. And I learned a long time ago that if you pretend to be somebody that you're not, there's little bells that go off in all of us instinctively that says, there's something about this person I don't trust, and your signings will go haywire. So when you're preparing yourself, don't set yourself up by failure by thinking you have to present yourself in a certain way. Just be yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin, and people will just follow through with you.
That's huge. And I can't wait to hear the story about how you left a shoe behind sometime. Josh, did that help?
Just went to step in, caught my foot on the door, and my shoe fell off, and I left it on the porch. I've had worse.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. That was all of it was very reassuring, and lets me know that it's okay to take those signings. I don't mind so much for myself. I'm more thinking of the larger community, not wanting to undersell those who have, it's kind of the community at large. So it's good to know that the community at large is okay with those of us who are new taking some of those lower paid gigs.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you are not responsible for carrying this entire industry or raising the value of everything. It would be great if we could just sit back and all unite hands and demand that we never be paid less than $100 for a signing. That's just not necessarily realistic right now in this world. We can still strive for it. Yeah. And there's a certain reality. You have got to make this business work. You're here for a reason, Josh. And that responsibility is all yours. You've got to make this work for all of those reasons in your world. And you can do that. And by performing this and doing great and getting out in the arena, improving yourself, you make everybody look good. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I have noticed a huge increase in signing fees. Like there's a lot more signing companies paying over $100 per signing now. So I feel like we're kind of on that cusp. There's always the exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's always exceptions down there. But I have seen an increase in this. And I think it's because we're being recognized for the value we bring, especially in times like this when people are not leaving their homes. All right, thanks for being here, Josh.
Thanks again, guys.
Yep. Latasha, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us what state you're in and how we can help?
I'm in Michigan. A quick question, hopefully. I am having the hardest time ever with just keeping everything in order as far as my signings. I've tried Notary Gadget, don't like it. I've tried just doing an Excel spreadsheet. This week I tried SnapDocs, just adding signings. So just wanted to put it out there. What do you guys use or recommend as far as just trying to keep track of everything?
Great question. I'm a big fan of Notary Assist when you're individual. It's similar to Notary Gadget, but it's a little different. Laura, do you have any suggestions for keeping all your appointments in order?
Now, I use Notary Assist too. And, you know, I do more than just loan signings. And what I love is that Sue has set up something that in her system that allows me to organize it by type. So I can get reports by different types, by private, which is one type for me, which is general one-off, versus attorney signings versus other kinds of signings. So I really love the reporting feature and the P&L feature that she added last year to it. So I highly, and she has a 30-day free trial. Go on and check it out. Yeah, I think her product's fabulous.
Yep.
So notaryassist.com. Sue Hope is the owner.
Thank you so much. I will definitely, that was my other one, but everybody pushes Notary Gadget. So I didn't try it, but thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I've been using Notary Assist since the very beginning when I was a
Yeah.
signing agent. You can't go wrong with it, and they improve it all the time. It's great.
Yeah. Every year she comes out with newer things as she listens to feedback from notaries saying it would be great if your system did this, or if I had a place to put that. And then the next thing you know, I see it. So just love that kind of responsiveness. And remember, the owner is a notary, a signing agent. I mean, so she knows what we do.
Yeah.
That helps, definitely. Thank
And
you so
sometimes
much.
when you call the support line, you get Sue directly, and
Get Sue.
it really is amazing. Great customer service. All right, great question. Thank you for being here, Latasha. Mr. or Mrs. iPhone or iPhone, you are up. iPhone. iPhone. Okay, we're going to skip you. You may not know who you are either. Priscilla Wright, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my question. So I am in the state of Virginia, and my question has to do with remote online notarizations. So sometimes when I get a request through SnapDocs, because we're in the pandemic, I would like to utilize that, but I find that a lot of the signing companies don't do so. So I'm just wondering if anybody had any suggestions on how to obtain more remote online notarizations.
Yeah, great question. I've got some feedback on that. Laura or Carol, though, have you heard of any additional companies that are really plowing ahead on this run for loan signings?
You know, I really haven't stayed on top of other states since my state isn't allowing it. So I've just really put that on a back burner. And other than knowing, you know, procedures, you know, going to the Secretary of State, getting approved to be an online notary, all of that. But I don't know anything really about the providers.
Yeah, no problem. I've got some, like I said, Matt, I see that you have some feedback though. You want to unmute and share?
Sure. So it would seem that from what I'm hearing out in the notary land in the states that are doing this is that the companies that are pushing full steam ahead with this are taking the business in-house. So they're you know, teaming up with the other bigger platforms like Notarize and NotaryCam and SafeDocs and all these things, and then they're kind of building or customizing their own in-house platform. It's for the notaries that are doing this, it's like you really have to market hard with the title companies, and they're like mid-level and smaller title companies are doing this. But for the independent notary, it's like anything else. You just have to market. Think of it as G&W or special notary work. You have to go out and get all of that business all on your own. No one's really going to dump in your lap yet, like they do, say, paper closings.
Great, thank you, Matt. And that's kind of the experience that I've had in, because I'm behind the scenes working on several RON projects, and I get to coach students across the country. And what we're finding is that the remote online notarization for mortgage has not taken off as much as they had thought that it would. And there are some exceptions to that, of course. But for the most part, the RONs that we're seeing are general notary work or specialty notary work. That's where there's a lot of notaries thriving in that environment, working with attorneys or working directly with consumers. And that is exactly as Matt said, that's building relationships directly with those attorneys. There's a great method of connecting with attorneys in states that do not have RON right now. because they do have clientele that do not want to leave their house. So, and they don't have RON as an option in their state. So they have to kind of outsource that. And then search engine optimization. Guys, that is exactly how you're going to compete with the big guys. It evens the playing field.
Yeah.
If you can notarize for people, if you're a RON certified notary, you can notarize for people all over the world, or in all the states at least, you can compete with companies like Notarize with search engine optimization, content creation, disseminating that information, and creating a brand for yourself online. Because people are searching on Google, they're just getting on Google, online notary or notary near me, whatever it might be. You've got to have an optimized website to find that.
Bill,
Is
this
that
is
helpful,
Leonard.
Priscilla?
Can I add to that?
Sure, Leonard.
Yes, that was helpful.
So I'm here in Michigan, and actually me and my partner was just talking about this today because he does RINs. He does as many as he can get his hands on. But since the pandemic here, he's done about maybe 40 RINs is what he's done. So that's just kind of like the progression rate of it. What I do notice though is that depending on what company you deal with, certain signing services or title companies may not deal with that company on doing RINs. So to me, I think you have to be very careful in the organization that you pick to shadow doing the RIN, because if you're dealing with particular signing services or particular title companies, you may be able to do RINs, but their customers or their clients may not allow RINs to be done under their organization.
Yeah, that's the whole crux of the problem, Leonard. The other side of that too is that we might choose, let's say we use Doc Verify, and that's who we registered with the state, and we tell the state we're using, and then we get an order, a signing order from a company that insists that you use their platform, or you have to use their platform. But the way the laws are written, you can't just toggle back and forth between platforms. You have to choose one and go with it. So there's still a lot of nuance that has to be worked out in this, but that's, I think, part of the reason this isn't quite going full bore and full steam, plus a few other issues too. Great question. Great. Thanks for bringing that up, Priscilla. Hope that was helpful.
Thank you. Yes, that was helpful. Thank you so much.
Kimberly from Georgia, thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you all for everything. I just wanted to make one comment and a quick question. So I wanted to thank you for the tips a few weeks ago about pricing, because I'm getting better at it and I'm finding the value that I'm offering. So that's equating to my ability to price my jobs better. So I wanted to thank you for that. And then one quick question I had was about I-9 forms. I did a lot of homework on it before I started offering that service. And I did one, I put it on my website to offer the service. Then I panicked and said, I'm not gonna do it because I hadn't done it before. And the next day I got a phone call about it. So I felt that was divine intervention. So long story short, I did the I-9 for the lady, but she insisted in her company that I stamped it with my notary stamp, even though it's not a notarial act. So I was slightly confused about that. And I read everything I could in Georgia and everything. I didn't see anything that I didn't know what I should do.
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you brought it up. It can be a confusing document for sure. Laura, do you want to talk about the I-9?
Yeah, so the I-9 is that immigration style form that people fill out when they're starting with a company and they're not able to just go into the office. And the thing is that there is a section that their HR department or an authorized representative would fill out, which is what you would have done. And you're not acting as a notary, you're acting as an authorized representative. The authorized representative would not have a notary stamp. You're not notarizing anything, and I don't care what state you're in, we're not supposed to be using our notary stamps when we're not notarizing a document. So the answer would have been absolutely no can do.
Okay, so they actually had filled out the company part, and all they really wanted me to do was verify that, yes, I saw her passport.
Yep.
Right, but there's a section for you to sign there's an area on that form. I'm familiar with that form. And there's an area you need to fill out with your name and a signature that you've done the identification portion. But you're doing it under the title of authorized representative. You are not doing it as a notary public, which means no title, no stamp.
So that one more little piece of that. So they actually had completed all of that part for the company, and they wanted me, the part where it says additional information, that's where they wanted me to notarize that I saw her passport.
Okay, but that doesn't change the story. That's not a notarization. I don't care what they filled out. The form isn't notarized. It's not appropriate. Even the government says it's not appropriate. I don't care what box they want you to do it in. You can only do that if you have a notary certificate and you are notarizing a signature. You cannot notarize a passport, right? You have to notarize an original signature. So were they asking you to do that? No, doesn't sound like it. They were asking you to notarize that you looked at the passport. That is not a certification you can make. You're not allowed.
So what they'll probably do, they'll probably either send that back or it won't be a big deal to them. That's usually how it goes.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Kimberly. I know it happens all the time. Yes. All right, Leonard, how can we help?
Bill, hi Carol, hi Laura, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Laura, thanks for answering all my emails. You're kind of like my go-to when I have those issues, so I appreciate it. One of the things, I'm here in Michigan, one of the things that I'm starting to see a lot of, and I really want to get a good understanding on this, is witnessing and is witnesses, okay? My first question is, if I have a document and I'm in Michigan, is it dependent on where that document is to be recorded and filed, whether or not I can be a witness or not?
No, it's based on the laws of your state. And the document where it's going, they'll have to live with that, with whatever rules that are required of you in your state, which means sometimes you may not be able to accommodate their request if it's not legal in your state. So for instance, there's just document witness, which is just somebody who happens to be there, watch the signer sign their name as a witness to the signature. That's one kind of witness. That's not a notary witness. Then there's a credible witness, and most states have that, and they're a human ID. And that is part of our notarial act. Then there's something called signature witnessing, which is a notarial act in about 17 different states. But for the rest of us, we cannot perform it. So when I get a document from another state requesting me to perform a signature witnessing act, I have to decline because I'm not allowed to do that. And then finally, back to the document witness, can I be the document witness and can I be the notary in the same document? That depends on what your state says. Some states say absolutely not, you're one or the other. Other states don't address it. And so then the deal becomes, well, you could, not the preference, but you could, as long as the witness's signature is not being notarized, because you can't self-notarize. And then the third thing is some other states say, like Florida says, one of the two notary and one of the two witnesses can be a notary, the other one cannot. And then a state like Georgia says, no, you cannot have the notary be one of those two witnesses. So there's a lot of details going on there. And what's most important for you, Leonard, is to know your state. What does your state say about being a witness and a notary in the same document? Is there something in your statute that addresses it? And if not, then the rule would be, I can only do that as long as the witness's signature is not being notarized.
Okay, so I kind of failed that test, but I had a signing, so I do deeds and I do loan contracts or mortgages, whatever you want to call them. And for Florida, state of Florida,
right,
on the deed, normally you have to have witnesses.
Yeah, on a consumer-facing deed, yes, like a grant deed or spousal deed, anything like that, they want two witnesses. And one of the witnesses can be a notary if it's allowable in your state. then you could be the notary and the witness. But if it's not allowed in Michigan, then even though Florida says it's okay, it doesn't matter. Because if it's not okay in your state, that's the end of the story.
So if you're doing loan signings, you know, like for a refi,
yeah,
I did a refi the other day, and the property was in Florida. I told them I couldn't witness, which was fine, but they stated that because it was a mortgage, they actually didn't need witnesses on it. So
that's correct.
Oh, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, that is correct. That's not a consumer facing. So the mortgage doesn't need it, but all the other deeds do. Grant deed, quitclaim deed, all those other ones.
Can you just real quick clarify what is consumer facing?
That is a term that isn't my term. That is a term when I studied this, that they utilized. I'm assuming that it has to do with them, that they are named, and then they're the signer. In a mortgage, they are signing this mortgage, but the people that are really are trust. The mortgage is like a trust, not a trust, a deed of trust, a deed of trust.
Okay.
I'm thinking in California terms and mortgage. It's a little slightly different system, but the same idea, where it's being held in trust to protect the interest of the bank. And so it's a different kind of document than all the others. The other ones are conveying ownership of a property. A mortgage is not. So a grant deed, I'm the grantor, and I'm going to give up my right to this property, and I'm going to give it or sell it to the grantee.
Okay.
Same thing with a quitclaim deed. Same thing with an interspousal deed, a joint tenancy deed. All those deeds end up conveying the ownership, whereas a deed of trust or a mortgage isn't conveying the ownership. Now, either Bill or Carol, could you clarify if I described that incorrectly?
Yeah, I deal with this all the time because I have students that get a lot of properties from Florida, and they still have the requirement of the witness on the deed of trusts, but I tell them they don't need to do that because it's no longer required only on conveyance deeds. When property is being conveyed from one person to another. Sorry about the phone. They are the ones that require witnesses now, but they did do away without the liability, the deeds of trust, the mortgages, basically, so they can ignore those witness lines.
So Carol, is that a quit claim or a warranty deed?
Yes, it is. Any kind of a conveyance deed. Conveyance meaning that they are conveying the property from one person or party to another.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, anytime there's a transfer of ownership.
Okay.
Much shorter description than what I gave you.
We got there. I loved it. That was a really great description. Guys, we're coming up. We only have 2 minutes. So Amina Payne, depending on the size of this question, you might be our last question of today.
Thank you, Bill. Quick question. I did my first reverse mortgage signing the other day. Inadvertently, I have to say, I signed up for it without realizing that it was a reverse. But when I got to the deed of trust, because there were 2 deeds of trust in the package, and I remember that, the amount on the deed of trust was the full value amount of the home and was not the remaining equity. There wasn't a remaining amount that they were taking the loan out under. So typically in a refinance, if the house value is 1.5 million, but they only owe 400,000 on it, and that's what they're refinancing, the deed of trust only usually shows 400,000. But in this case, it was the full amount of the value of the property. And my client was just a bit confused as to why the full amount of the property would be on there when he actually owned most of the property anyway. Any idea?
That's a good question. Laura or Carol, can you think of any reason why the full value of the house as opposed to the mortgage amount would be listed on the deed of trust?
I can't. I've dealt with a lot of reverse mortgages. I've never seen that.
Yeah, me neither. And you can't get 100%. Like, I'm thinking maybe it was a line of credit type situation, but you can't even go to 100% on it. So I can't think of a reason. Laura, I'm sorry, I think I cut you off. Have you heard of
No,
that?
I was just thinking that because it's not really like a mortgage, it operates differently where it grows instead of shrinks over time, that there's a deed for the potential total liability, which they don't know what that is at this time because they don't know how long that's going to go on till the person dies or moves out. I'm surprised that it's the full amount, but I have seen 2 deeds and the one had a huge number on it. I didn't ask to sit to the client to say, is this what your property is worth? But as I understand it, there's going to be one that anticipates a potential liability because that loan grows over time.
I'll bet that's exactly what it is, Laura, because it's probably a line of credit situation, Amina, and because it does have the growth rate, they don't know what it would grow into, so they probably secure it for the entire value of the home. That's probably exactly what it is.
Okay.
I think Nina Penny would be a great resource for that too.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to know that too, because I've never seen that. And I've done probably 300 of those.
yeah.
I
I'll
have
check
seen
in
it.
with Nina. I just wanted to know more for myself because it's not our place to answer that question to, I directed him back to his mortgage broker, but still I was confused. I was like, okay, I like to understand the documents myself. So I will check with Nina.
Yeah, check with Nina and then get back to us and let us know.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Amina. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, that puts us 1 minute over. Thank you, Amina. That was a great way to end our session. Carol, Laura, thank you so much for the time you take out for our community here. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you who take some time out of your day to grow yourself and your business. We'll see you next week.
Bye.